What's going on, everyone? J-Law here from Vendetta Sports Media, back with another unit spotlight video for Warhammer 40,000. As always, if you guys enjoy these videos, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you can be notified whenever a new episode in the series drops. Today, we're going to be covering probably my most favorite looking model on the tabletop for Black Templars, and that is the Execrator. I even have my personal Execrator. Right here, you probably can't see him that well because my camera's kind of trash, honestly. So I'll have a picture pop up of him because I love the way he looks. This is probably my favorite model that I've painted so far from the Black Templars. First, lore-wise, what are Execrators? From basically what I could tell, they're chaplains, just like a veteran chaplain, maybe. I'm not 100% certain. As far as what a chaplain actually does, they are kind of like the spiritual leaders, almost, of the chapters that they belong to. I mean, just if you've played Space Marine 2, think of Leandros. Someone that's always like, he's looking for heresy and doubt in the Emperor, on the lookout for chaos. And sometimes you'll walk by the little shrine room where he's at. He may be basically like giving a sermon to other Space Marines. So again, I'm not really quite certain what the difference between the Execrator and a regular chaplain is. Just that the Black Templars have them. It's a different model. It's a part of that structure, and it's super cool. And I already have New Recruit pulled up here, so that way we can just start taking a look at the Execrator. Kind of similar with what we did with the last episode with the Emperor's Champion. We'll look at everything, we'll look at the units he can lead, and I'll talk about some stuff that I've used him for in the past, and then we can, just kind of go from there. All right, so the Execrator, 6 inches of movement, 4 toughness, 3 up saves. I believe he does have a 4 up invul save, so that's always nice. 4 wounds, and then leadership 5 and objective control 1. As far as ranged weapons goes, he has an Absolver bolt pistol, range 18 inches, 1 attack, hitting on 3 ups. I always want to say wound. For whatever reason, I always say wound first. I know I definitely do it with melee weapons because I just see the W and I just think wounds, and that's not correct. It's just a me thing, I feel like. But anyway, pistol, 5 strength, AP minus 1, 2 damage, and then he has this his first melee weapon, the Crozius Arcanum. I'm absolutely butchering this this pronunciation. Gosh, I'm terrible at words, I swear. But 5 attacks. Hitting on 2s, 2 ups, strength 6, AP minus 1, 2 damage. So those are his base, what he kind of comes with, his pistol and his fancy other melee weapon. But a couple things that we could do, we could attach, instead of the bolt pistol, we could attach this pyre pistol, and that gives us 12 inch, so a foot of attack, and then D6 attacks. And then you're just seeing if you can wound with strength 4, 0 AP, damage 1. Now, the thing that I like to do, and what a lot of people that I've seen also doing, is adding this master crafted power weapon, because the master crafted power weapon has the extra attacks ability. So why would you not? Because as you can see with my guy through my terrible camera quality, and I'll try to throw his picture back up there again, but I have both on there. And it just makes so much sense. Most of the time in your Black Templar armies, you're gonna be fighting. You're gonna be up close and personal with your opponent. So you're going to want someone that is able to lay down the hurt and the hate in the fight phase. So not only do you get his first weapon that we talked about, but now you get a 3 attack, also wounding on 2 ups, strength 5, AP minus 2, and 2 damage with lethal hits as well. So again, it just makes all the sense in the world to me. If you're going to run an Execrator, run it like this. This is going to be the way. This is going to what you're going to want his loadout to be. Now, his abilities, an underrated ability here. Why I think he's so underrated and why I like using him. And I say underrated, like, anyone that plays Black Templars, I've seen him in a lot of lists, not Not the most recent list that got 8th at the big London tournament, but I still love this guy, and I'm going to try to work him into every list that I can. But it's this remorseless persecution where it grants that the Execrator, whatever unit that he is leading, they get advance and charge in the same turn. And simply because I don't care, if we go away from Gladius Task Force and we look at Wrathful Procession here, being in Wrathful Procession, you can do the Chorus of Relentless Hate litany, and that adds 2 inches to your move characteristics, and then you can add 1 to the advance rolls for it. And that's where the Execrator, it's just gonna go insane, man, because instantly he's already got 8 inches of movement plus your advance, and you're at least going to advance a minimum of 2, because if you roll a 1, then you get to add a 1 to it. And you can really, whatever unit you decide to go with, and we'll kind of talk about the pros and cons of Crusader Squad and Sword Brethren, whichever one you want to put him with, you can really stage them a decently safe distance away. You take advantage of this ability to advance and charge, and really just all of a sudden be all up in your opponent's grill with a really powerful unit, regardless of whichever one of his units that he can lead you decide to take. And then, of course, something else that's really underrated, and this is something I've noticed a lot about the Black Templar list, and I definitely kind of want to experiment with it more, and I can see the vision of where they're going for with it. I'm not fully convinced of it being like this is like the thing that Black Templar should be known for, but you know, some of the best advice that I've heard is like, you know, play to the strengths of your armies, do what they do. And there's a lot of Black Templar stuff about battle shock, and for the Execrator, if this unit, each time this model's unit is fought, if I can get the words out of my mouth, then essentially if you destroy a unit, then every unit that is within 6 inches of this model now has to take a battle shock test. Now, if you are fighting another melee-centric army, that's big time, because if you're fighting on an objective, and really just any army in general, not just a melee centric army, but if you're fighting over an objective and your opponent has like 1 or 2 units in close proximity or on an objective, and you destroy one of those units, you kind of pick the weaker one, charge them, kill them, other unit now has to take a battle shock test. They fail that battle shock test, then that means that, for the rest of the turn, they have battle shock, so they can't control that objective. Maybe now that falls over into your control, depending on what type of mission you're playing, which usually scoring mission primaries is a big part of the game. And then also stratagems. They can't be targeted with stratagems either. So that's a huge thing. That could be a huge thing, really turning the tide of one side of the battle in your favor. Now, what type of squad to put him with? Do we put him with a Crusader squad or a Sword Brethren squad? Like, one thing that I have thought of, if putting him with, let's say, a Sword Brethren squad, let's switch over to the Godhammer Assault Force, which the Godhammer Assault Force, each time an Adeptus Astartes unit from your army declares a charge, disembark, basically, see, like I said, battle shock. So it's like when you make a charge, that enemy has to take a battle shock test, and then you can also add 1 to the hit roll. So it's probably not the best to do that with Sword Brethren. I know Sword Brethren don't really get to take advantage of that ability, but other units could, and you could always have, like, your Crusader squad and a Land Raider or something like that. Sword Brethren can start in a Repulsor Executioner, and you can still like take some full advantage of not getting up super close to the enemy if you put them with an Execrator, and they can do all their charge in advance stuff. But the reason why I wanted to look at this was because of the enhancements. Which one is it? Yes, it's this one, Herald of the Sacred Slaughter. So I'll go ahead and put that on the Execrator, and basically if they are within a dedicated transport, then that dedicated transport has the Scout's 9 inches ability, which is insane. So then obviously if we just type in, I'm just going to type in Impulsor because it's ridiculously stupid to try to search for it, but we have the Impulsor here. And the Impulsor essentially would be able to hold a Sword Brethren squad along with an Execrator. We'll add a Crusade Ancient to the list. This is just strictly for just us kind of talking and kind of figuring this out as we go along here. Because the Crusade Ancient, it can be attached with a Captain, Execrator, or Lieutenant. And so, you know, if we're attaching, if in this scenario we are attaching the Execrator to a Sword Brethren squad that's going in a Repulsor, then it might be nice to throw in an Ancient for 65 points, because this is going to be a unit that we are going to want to move up the board very quickly. It may be a unit that we potentially lose, but we're hoping to put it into maybe one of their tougher units and try to slow down one side of the board and let the rest of our army get in position to do what it needs to do. And again, a lot of this stuff that I'm thinking of is stuff that I've already thought of. I just haven't gotten to try it out on the tabletop just yet. But I fully plan on doing it. At some point, I'm going to pull this where we have, in an Impulsor, we have a 5-man Sword Brethren squad along with an Execrator and a Crusade Ancient. The Execrator having the Sacred Slaughter ability. Let's just kind of pretend here, like Angry Servo Host, Benefit of Cover, subtract 1 from the Shock and Awe thing, I think I just clicked that. Paragon of Fury. If the pair disembarked from a transport, add 1 to the damage characteristics of that attack. That could actually be quite nice. Low key, so we're going like a Crusader squad or something out of a Land Raider. That's another topic for for another day. But yeah, we can move an Impulsor 9 inches up the board, and then they'd be able to disembark up to 3 inches from that. So basically, we've already got a whole foot of movement, and especially if we're going first, like, my God, a whole inch of movement before we've actually ever even moved, and then the ability to advance and charge. Oh, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. And I get it. We're not in the Wrathful Procession where we get the +2, but even still, like, imagine you have the Execrator, you have them in a dedicated transport, or you have them in, let's say, just some other transport with the like a Repulsor Executioner with the Sword Brethren. Then what you could 100% do is you could move and shoot and stage, keep them in their transport for a turn, and then that next turn they get out up to 3 inches, still within 3 inches of the transport. And then they have the +2, so now they get to move 8 inches, plus adding 1 to their advance roll, and still getting to charge. So it's still a viable option either way that you go. And yes, I've been very tempted, if I'm in anything but the Godhammer detachment, if I am in Wrathful Procession, I'm just going to go ahead and switch over to that. If I'm in something like Wrathful Procession, we can look at the enhancements, and we could easily give them something like the Benediction of Fury, which is quite nice. Sacred Rites, where they get fights first, that could be huge, especially like if they go and they kill a unit and it's maybe they have some other melee units and they charge me with those melee units, then I could activate that and go for fight first. There's quite a few things that we can go here. Pyrebrand also, where you have the stealth ability, so -1 to be hit, kind of nice. I'll go ahead and say this too, because we'll kind of transition into the other side with that, is the Crusader squad. So how would we put the Execrator with a Crusader squad? Now I will go ahead and quickly switch to another list that I have. This is my Templar King. You saw Templar King 1 up there, but this is the first iteration of, and I actually have won a match with this against Astra Militarum, where the Execrator in the Wrathful Procession with Pyreband is leading the Crusader squad. And so that was really fun because they actually did get to take advantage, the Execrator got to take advantage of the Righteous Zeal move, which came in super clutch. And then, of course, they did get shot at, obviously. It's a shooting army versus a melee army. And hey, I was very, very grateful of that -1 to hit. And again, it just kind of depends on what your army setup is and what you're wanting to do. So it may not be to your best bet, if you were trying to run a more thematic list here, because this probably wouldn't work in like uber ultra competitive settings. But let's just kind of go off on a limb here and say that you're going to run the Execrator with a Crusader squad, and you're going to be in something like Wrathful Procession, where you can have pretty much this exact same build and setup. You can do Chorus of Relentless Hate, so you get extra movement, you get up to the front, or if it's a big shooty army and you're probably not going to be able to charge anyway, but you still get, you know, a decent amount of movement and of course advancing, then you could always give your units a 5-up invul save against range attacks, which could be pretty nice. It honestly has the ability to save a model or two here or there, which again the Righteous Zeal movement could come into play there, where you could move within range of the closest enemy unit. So, you know, getting that D6+2 movement to the closest enemy unit. So you could pull off some like movement shenanigans that way. That could be kind of your out. And again, you could still put an Execrator and an Ancient with a Crusader squad. You could toss them in a Land Raider and move them up 12 inches. And if you're not satisfied with exactly how the board looks, you could just hold them for that turn. So again, just kind of thinking it back over, taking a second to think on it, I truly do believe that again, this is just kind of reaffirming it for me, the best option, even if I don't have a Crusade Ancient, and we'll just delete them there. Even if I don't have a Crusade Ancient, I'm probably throwing him with the Sword Brethren in the Repulsor Executioner. The Repulsor Executioner, for its point value and its abilities, which again, we'll talk about it another time too, man, because this thing is a beast. But put the Execrator with the Sword Brethren in the Repulsor Executioner. The Repulsor Executioner can stage. Put it up somewhere to where you get a good line of sight to get some shooting off, do your shooting thing, and hopefully you've put it in a good enough position and killed the thing on the other side, so that way your Repulsor Executioner isn't too much in danger. If the rolls just kind of fail, which, you know, sometimes that just kind of happens, that's the way the cookie crumbles. That's Warhammer. It's a game of dice. When you play a game of dice, that's just what's going to happen. And even if you're in something like Wrathful Procession or even Gladius, just stage it up to where you can get all your movement shenanigans, really take advantage of being able to disembark from the transport, move your 6 inches, excuse me. Well, 8, if, you know, because again, if we're in Wrathful Procession, we are 100% in this mode until like the next turn, where we'd probably go with that one if we're like in full, you know, fledged combat everywhere. But go ahead and do those movement shenanigans, get them up the board, get them into the enemy line, start hacking away, and then you take your Repulsor Executioner and you park its big fat butt on an objective, and you sit there and you just try to shoot the enemy away and get as many points as you can, because eventually they're probably going to be coming for that thing, because that thing is a big old target. So is the Execrator a S tier model? In looks, to me, absolutely 100%. As far as viability on the tabletop, maybe not. He's maybe like a B tier in terms of what the Black Templars use and how they and what they do best. But I truly do not care. I love the idea of this unit so much, this model so much. I love the looks. I love the way he looks on the tabletop. I've loved getting to see him move around, especially in the King of the Colosseum match that I played this past weekend, of seeing him run around leading that Crusader squad. And he looks just as good leading a Sword Brethren squad in a 2,000 point army list. And I'm sure there's some Crusade rules that I'm missing here, but nonetheless, I know he's not part of the meta. I know he's technically not an auto take, but in my heart, he's an auto take, and that's really what matters, isn't it? Well, anyway, guys, that's pretty much going to do it for me here. Again, I love doing this series because it just lets me talk about Warhammer. I just love talking about Warhammer. I have a lot of other video ideas specifically for Black Templars, but then also other just kind of generic models in the Space Marine arsenal as well that I would love to deep dive into, kind of talk strategy, things of that nature, things that I've thought of, things that I've seen other people think of, and you guys in the comments section too, whatever you guys come up with and you talk to, because there's always information that I can learn about these models, and I'm always looking for new information because I'm a super competitive person, and even though I want to have fun and have super thematic lists, I of course also want to win, but thematics and having fun, those obviously take precedent in my mind. But again, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Helps us out greatly. And make sure to hit that notification bell so you can be notified whenever a new episode drops. This is Jay Law from Vendetta Sports Media signing off, and I will see you guys next time.